on the wiring of the taillights and the brake lights for the BMW to Ford swap. Unfortunately, the E39 was designed to use this weird little plate. The wiring harness is an 8-pin, it runs to the back of this thing, and because of that, it's been making this a complete pain in the ass. I turn my left blinker on, my right blinker goes on. When I turn my right blinker on, nothing happens. When I hit the brakes, nothing happens. My middle brake light is still working, so I'm just going to connect two separate brake lights that I went and bought connectors for at AutoZone. So I have two regular, just ballasts that I can plug in. They're 2-wire, just like the center brake light. So I'm going to run some extension wires and make them go directly into the brake light of the Ford. I'm going to remove the old brake light that's in there, and then once again retrofit the new settings in just like I did with the headlights. Here we go. All right, so we have both the brown wires together. Now we're about to connect the brown wires to the yellow wires, one to the passenger, one to the driver's side. And we're going to crimp this in place. In theory, this should work. Let's see how it goes. Blue are getting run into the black. We can put the third brake light back into place now. It's steady. Feels like it's locked in there. So just like I did with the front, I'm now going to retrofit the brake lights and the new tail light unit into the original 55 cluster here. Let's see how this goes. That works. That works. There we go. All right, so I still have the bulb in here. We still have the wires on the back. I am going to use this original bulb. However, I'm going to drill a second spot in next to it so that we have room to fit our brake light. And then after I figure out the blinker situation, which I'm assuming is probably going to be run on a whole separate bulb, then I'm going to put in a separate side right here. So we're going to put in the headlight, and then we're going to do the blinker on one side and the tail light on the other. Close the cap back up, and we'll be good to go. All right, so I'm now going to make the hole inside the tail light for the brake light to come through. See if this fits. Yeah, we're good. It's right down the middle. Won't affect nothing. And now our brake light is locked in place. We're good to go. We just need to get our signal lens on this side, and then we put the cap back on. All right, took a quick trip to AutoZone, picked up the piece that I actually needed. So now we have the second brake light in. This is for the driver's side. And now we can retrofit this back into the actual cover like we did with this side. Okay, so while I have the tail light out of the car, it was a little rusty and just kind of crappy on the edges. As you can see, it's just not good. So I took it upon myself to start just chipping away and just grind some of that off. And some of the original chrome came off, but that's okay because it was already kind of peeling to begin with. So we're just going to polish out the steel that's underneath it and make it shine just as much. So let's continue to make this look good. Alright, so I just got home from AutoZone. I made a quick trip to pick up some 1157 ballasts and bulbs. These are the same ballasts and bulbs that I use to make the brake lights, and they're going to be the same bulbs that I use to make the blinkers. I figured out that I'm not going to be able to use the original harness in any way. Things are just going haywire. So rather than go through all that, I'm just going to go and directly hardwire 2 lines into the headlights. On each side, passenger and driver is going to have an independent line, and it's going to run straight from the front of the car to the back of the car, and that is going to give us perfectly working, in unison blinkers. And if you haven't done it already, hit that like button, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into this. Got that BMW motor. That BMW everything, BMW suspension, BMW motor, BMW interior. It's only got a Ford body, but yeah, let's go.
Got my free wheels I just picked up. These are dope. Some rare Korean wheels from the 90s. I would say JDM style, but they're not Japanese. They are Korean. So we got some KDM style over here. All right, so I'm running the wires right now. I'm gonna be doing 2 of these, 1 white wire, 1 green wire. Just picked these up from AutoZone. They were on sale. Thank God for sales. However, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wire the rear blinkers off of the front blinkers because this 8-panel unit in the back is just impossible to work with. No matter. Now we're good to go. We now have a white and a green. I'm gonna use 1 for the ground wire and 1 for the live wire. On to the next step. All right, so once again, for the harness, I'm using a basic Dorman. It's a 1157 2-wire outlet. You can get it at AutoZone. That's where I got mine. It was only $3. Things are really cheap and they're handy. So we have this and we have our bulbs. I just want to make sure this is going to fit. So has little clips on the outside. If the clips fit, then the whole thing fits. The clips fit perfectly. They actually hold it in place very well, so I'm not even going to have to make a bracket like I had to do for the other side. Accidentally went a little too big with this side. Found out the first time. The rest of them have been good since. The green wire, we should be good and have more than enough. Okay, so I just taped off my wires, and now to get these into the car, we're going to run these through the very little tight space that we have. Whew, all right. I was able to fish it in there. Okay, just gonna pull this wire through, just like so. So I have a little bit of this protective plastic tube. I'm actually gonna throw this around the wire since it's gonna be run down here. And some of this is pretty choppy. I just wanna make sure that the wire is protected so that nothing ever cuts into it and grounds it out or causes any problems. All right, now I can pull this off, and we have our blinker wires. All right, time to splice in the harness for the new blinker. And crimp that down as well, and then repeat the process with the other wire. All right. All right, we have all 3 bulbs in one unit now. So we have our blinker, we have our regular steady tail light, and then we have our brake light over here. Well, all right. So that works. Okay, so I have a blinker, a front blinker. Oh, I already see it. We have a rear blinker. I see it flashing off the floor already. Look at that. All right, let's wire up the other side. All right, so at this point, I'm just using some remaining wire that I have left over. I'm not going for crazy color coordination on this one. These are going to be the steady running lights. So I'm going to use the blue and the green for the passenger side of the car, and then we're going to go yellow and yellow for the driver side of the car. Actually, no, we're probably going to switch that around. We're going to go yellow to yellow because the yellow wires are longer and we need a little bit longer on the side. Okay, so we did a little test run here. I plugged directly into the unit, and it turns out that the blue wire is not the constant wire. It's the purple wire, the gray with the purple. So we're going to wire into that along with the brown, which is the ground, and then we'll have our steady running taillights. Should be good to go. Let's get this back into its spot. All right, so in order to tighten these tabs up, we just bend them outward a little bit, and now they should pop on in there with no problem. And they'll hold to the inside as well. Grip themselves in place. There we go. Boom, so we have our tail light, we have our blinker light, and we have our brake light. We'll plug that in, and we have light. Woo! So right now we're about to make the bumper mounts for the rear bumper. We'll hold this thing in place. Should be nice and easy. Let's get to it. I'm going to use the original mounts that came on the Ford Customline. I don't think that these are the actual original mounts, but we're holding it on. So we're going to continue to use these. I am going to have to cut them down, I'm assuming, but we'll get them into shape. Alright, so we have our one mount. We need to put a hole right here. X marks the spot. So we're going to trim this piece down now and put a hole in it right here. Then we can run our bumper bolt to hold it in place. Next step. Okay, so I have my hole that I cut out through the back here. That's gonna make it easy. So I have trunk access. I just have to be able to fold the seats down. And now I'm gonna drill my two holes. I made the dots already for where they go. And we're gonna get the mount in to put the trunk back on. Let's do this. There we go. Should be able to get this back on and into place correctly now. Not gonna lie, this is a pain in the ass. All right, so we're gonna put the trunk back onto the rear of the car now. I'm gonna crawl through my little cutout that I made. The whole reason it's there is so I can get in and have access to the trunk while the trunk is closed, because BMWs do not come with fold down back seats. So that is my little secondary option. It's going to work great. We now have our trunk mounts in, and we're going to have to make risers. They sit about an inch lower in the rear and about a ½ inch in the front. So we're going to make a block spacer that is 1 inch higher in the rear and a ½ inch in the front. Then we're going to put the trunk on. I'm going to climb inside and then drill our holes and re-bolt everything back into place. Let's get to it. All right, I have the trunk on the car. We can now get inside the car, crawl through my little crawl space, and bolt this bitch back into place. In order to get into here, this is how we do it. So this is what we're working with right now. The trunk is in place. I just need to get these bolted and we will be good to go. I'm gonna drill some new holes. All right, so let's get our drill so we can start finalizing this trunk. Whew, I am too fat to get in and out of that back seat. There we go, okay. That's better. Yalla! Hell yeah, we're good. Okay, just making sure that we don't have any of the bolts coming through on this side. Right now it seems like we're good, so I'm going to continue to tighten this down. Okay, I think that we're good. Theoretically, at this point, we should have a working trunk. All right, we now have a working trunk. Woo!
The fitting is actually really good. I mean, it's kind of hard to go wrong with these old trunks, but lining it up myself, I got them pretty dead on point. And yeah, we're looking good. I'm loving it. Okay, so my body swapped BMW e39 to 1955 Ford Customline. Now has fully functional taillights with blinkers, hazards, brake lights, everything that's supposed to do, it's now working correctly. We also have the fully functional trunk now in place. I love it, being able to close this, so good. I'm gonna put a new mount on tomorrow and try and rig up the old pop lock system from the BMW into this trunk. We're gonna see how that goes. But I'm also going to get started on mounting the front bumper and the front hood as well. Once those are done, this car is basically going to be ready for the road. There's still going to be a few gaps in the interior that we're going to have to clean up. So we'll go back and take care of those. We're going to do our little fillers along the doorway, make everything look good. But after that, I mean, this car is basically good to start driving around. So I'll be ready for the next cruise night whenever they have it. Hopefully there will be one before next year, or at least some kind of car meet. I would love to take this thing out. But we'll see how it goes. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done it already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.